FNCS Pro-Am has officially happened, and I'm going to be talking about the tournament as well as going over my opinions on the event as a whole. I'm also going to be discussing on what they should do with Pro-Am in the future. Should they do another one? Should it be every year? Should they switch up to mode? There's a lot to discuss. Let's get right into it. Starting off, to no one's surprise, Peterbot alongside Aussie Antics won the Pro-Am. It didn't matter who Pete was playing with, he was going to be the favorite to win the tournament anyway. Getting paired up with Aussie Antics, who once the event was announced started grinding, they were looking like the favorites going into this. Before I dive into the games individually, this tournament was very close and intense. Going into the last game, the top three teams, that being Peterbot and Aussie, Cooper and Zemi, Seti and Daya, were separated by just 3 points. Ultimately, Peterbot and Aussie ended up coming out on top, but let's look at the full leaderboard. In first place, it was Peterbot and Aussie Antics with 71 points. Coming in second was Cooper and Zemi on 67 points. Third place, the Frenchies Podesai and Nikoff on 60 points. They actually got the tiebreaker for third place, having a win in the final game of the day over fourth place Daya and Seti, who ended up on 60 points as well. In fifth place on 53 points, we have Stable, Ronaldo, and Canada. In sixth place, we have the Brazil duo of Gon and Flakes on 37 points. In seventh place, we have Thomas HD and Somerset on 36 points. 36 points as well, but coming in eighth place is Nick A30 and Queasy. Ninth place ended up going to Faxity, who was filling in for Amar, playing with Rezon. They finished with 35 points. And coming in 10th place is Lacey and Clicks. They finished on 34 points. In 11th on 34 points as well was Courage, JD, and Cold. 12th was Reddish and Vino on 26 points. 13th was the Japanese duo of Captain Shota and Koyota on 21 points. 21 points as well, but in 14th place was Typical Gamer and Booga. A little underwhelming from them, in my opinion. I thought they were going to do better. In 15th place, we had Lachlan and Mr. Savage on 20 points. 16th, we had Regs and Nate Hill on 19 points. 17th, we had Alex and Loserfruit on 15 points. 15 points as well, but in 18th place was Jacob and Cammy. In 19th place was Cypher, PK, and Moxie. And the last team in 20th place was Allie and Mongrel on 2 points. Very rough tournament for Mongrel and Allie. We'll discuss what happened with Allie later on in this video if you haven't already seen the clip, but it was a rough tournament for Allie and Mongrel. They end up finishing in last. There were no repeat winners in the tournament, but 4 of the top 5 teams ended up winning a game. The only team in the top 5 that didn't win a game was Seti and Daya. These games were absolutely stacked. By the time reboots ended, there was pretty much 17, 18 teams, only a couple teams maybe fully eliminated. So these games were absolutely incredibly stacked, super entertaining, super fun to watch, especially the end game. Game 1 was won by Cooper and Zemi. It was your typical standard Fortnite game. However, once this game hit half and half zones, we saw someone on high ground who is always on high ground in these competitive tournaments, Queasy and Nick A30. Nick A30 and Queasy were actually on height like 4 of the 6 games at one point during the tournament, but they didn't manage to get a win, which kind of disappointing for Queasy standards. Queasy and Nick A30 were on the high ground at the start of moving zones. About halfway through the moving zones though, Nick A30 ends up going down. I think it was to fall damage. They didn't really say on the broadcast what he ended up going down to, but it left Queasy on height by himself. Peterbot in this game ended up going down in 11th after just full choking in edit, which got him eliminated. A rare mistake by Pete, which you don't see that often. Once it hit 11th zone, the Frenchies of Nikoff and Podesai made a height play from Queasy. Queasy was able to deal a lot of damage to Podesai, leaving that duo very weak, and ultimately Cooper and Zemi on the low grounds, they fought Clicks and Lacey, taking down Lacey. Clicks ended up going for a height play and kind of griefed Podesai and Nikoff on height, which helped Cooper and Zemi secure game 1. It's not going to. Cooper and Zemi win game 1. Moving into game 2, Cooper and Zemi were in first place after winning the first game. We end up seeing Peterbot and Aussie Antics drop on Cooper and Zemi at Dirty Docks, which was already triple contested. Aussie ends up going down multiple times, but that didn't stop the duo from going back to their original spot at Slurpy Swamp and just start keying teams that weren't good, which was their strategy to farm players rebooting, mostly Allier, unfortunately, just following Mongrel wherever Allier would respawn, and they would just take Allier down before he was unable to land. Moving on later into the match though, it was once again Nick A30 and Queasy on the high ground, but they ended up getting chopped and Nick A30 ends up going down to fall damage. Aussie goes down right as reboots get disabled, leaving Peterbot to have to solo clutch once again. After those shenanigans in moving zones, it ends up being Lacey and Clicks on the high ground. Having the shockwave though, Clicks ends up shockwaving Lacey into Storm, ultimately eliminating Lacey. So Clicks has to play as a solo now, ends up taking down a few players, and with the rest of the players and even duos that were still up not looking too healthy with Clicks on height, the 11th zone starts. It pulls back up the land from where it was in the 10th zone, which was completely in water. With a tough rotate for the remaining players, it's all up to Clicks to see if he can clutch up game 2 and win. They versus Clicks. Oh my god, Clicks. Wait, he's got no builds. He's got no builds. Oh, he found some loot. Siphon mats. He's got shockwaves. There's a shockwave play. And Clicks is able to clutch up and get the win. Clicks almost sells, but he's able to secure the win, winning game 2, which at that point in time in the tournament propelled Clicks and Lacey into first place through the first 2 games of the Pro-Am. Game 3 seemed like a little less keying by teams, more focusing on getting loot, getting materials for the end game. A big jumble up in the standings though, right as reboots get disabled, Clicks and Lacey, who were in first place at the time, end up just getting lobby focused and going down, only getting 1 point in that game. We see a brief moment of Mongrel and Allier. Yes, Allier on height in a highly competitive endgame, but unfortunately that was short-lived as once again Nick A30 and Queasy take height. Third time is the charm though, right? Getting height, they're gonna win? Well, they came very close. They ended up coming in second place that game, but ultimately it ended up being Kanata and Stable Ronaldo who ended up taking the win in game 3. That win was huge for Ron and Kanata as it ended up pushing them up to first place on the leaderboard going into the intermission before the start of game 4. Game 4, coming back from the break, the players hopped into game 4, and let's just say this was the craziest game of the day. Starting off, Typical Gamer and Booga rotate into Slurpy Swamp where Typical Gamer full clips Peterbot. Typical Gamer just took down Peterbot. Ain't no way, bro. What happened here? Oh my god. Wait, he kind of pieced up. Oh my god, wait, he kind of pieced him up. Oh my god, Typical Gamer just pieced up Peterbot. This must have made Pete mad because they implemented his new strategy for the rest of the tournament. Eliminate Allier and follow Mongrel around the map so they can eliminate Allier every time he respawns. You've probably seen it on TikTok or Twitter, but this is where we have the infamous Allier crash out.
Bro, I'm about to back out. I'm about to back out. It's actually so stupid. It just is stupid. Bro, I don't give a. I don't care. I just don't give a. Like, what the f is this? This is stupid! Let me change my skin so people stop farming me, bro!
I've never seen Allier this mad and crash out to a point where he swore, but I felt so bad for Allier. He spent the majority of this tournament just getting farmed out of the sky, getting eliminated by Peterbot, or other times where he did land, another team would pretty much just key him instantly, and he just really never had a chance. Very unfortunate. Feel bad for Ollie. During the middle of 6th zone, the unthinkable happens. The broadcast crashes. All the streams crash. The whole broadcast just crashed. Oh my God, the whole broadcast just crashed. The whole broadcast just crashed. Oh my God. No. No way. Apparently the Wi-Fi at the campus where this event was taking place, it just crashed. It shut off. There's some rumors out there that the event was DDoSed or the IP for the venue got leaked, but nothing was confirmed outside of technical difficulties. After a while, they got everything back up and running, but they had to restart game 4, so you can pretty much forget everything that I just said. It never counted towards an actual game. The actual game 4, however, Peterbot ends up pulling a mythic pulse rifle out of a chest. On top of that, the zones just kept pulling directly on top of Slurpy Swamp, and they just built a giant surge base on the top of Slurpy Swamp, and Peterbot just fried the entire lobby with the pulse rifle. They ended up getting a 10 elimination win, but after game 4, it was Cooper and Zemi who were back on top with a 3-point lead over Aussie and Peterbot going into game 5. Game 5, Vino tried the Peterbot strategy, attempting to drop at booming base while his teammate Reddish landed at their regular drop spot, that being Steamy Stacks. This strategy did not end up working. Vino ended up going down to Podesai and Nikov, and Rezon, who was playing with Faxity because Rezon's original teammate Amar had some visa issues. He was unable to attend the event and play, but Rezon ends up pulling the super rare exotic chest that gives you all 5 exotic weapons. Talk about being lucky. That single chest ended up being the difference in this game, as Rezon and Faxity were able to win game 5. Yes, we have just witnessed a Faxity win on land. Faxity almost sold, and then Rezon almost sold as well, but he was able to get the last shot onto Daya to secure the win for game 5. Moving on to the 6th and final game of the Pro-Am, the standings were looking like this. Peterbot and Aussie with a 1-point lead over Cooper and Zemi, and they had a 3-point lead over 3rd place Seti and Daya. Game 6 was going to be absolute cinema. Game 6 starts with Peterbot getting a few huge eliminations to pad their lead ever so slightly. By zone 6, Peterbot and Aussie have 4 eliminations padding their lead, while Zemi has to run for his life as Cooper ends up going down. Cooper and Zemi are in shambles and are in a need of a refresh and need eliminations in order to catch up to Peterbot and have a chance to win. They pick up an elimination onto Captain Shota, but they were still in need of a massive game with Peterbot and Aussie and Seti and Daya still up. With Nick A30 and Queasy on height once again, while Peterbot and Aussie picked up 2 more eliminations, zone 8 is where this becomes absolute chaos and cinema. Aussie goes down while Peterbot is building into the circle. Peterbot is now a solo and is gonna have to clutch up to secure the win, and placement points at this point haven't even kicked in yet. If P goes down before placement, this win is very well in jeopardy. Zone 10, Peterbot takes down Clicks, and now Seti is a solo as well with Daya going down. It's now 1st place as a solo, 3rd place as a solo, and Cooper and Zemi still up as a duo. Absolute cinema for game 6 and the end of the tournament. Zemi are solos. Zemi and Cooper are duo. Oh my god. Wait, Seti just shockwave in the zone. Oh my god, wait. He's gotta pop the chug. He's gotta pop the chug. Zemi might die here. Zemi gets an elimination. Shockwave's in. Oh my god, wait, it's on a duo. Peterbot as well. Peterbot's so far in zone, he's just popping the chug. Oh my god. Cooper goes, wait, Zemi goes down. It's a solo. It's 3 solos for top 3s. Oh my god, wait, this has gotta be so cinema. Peterbot fighting. He has so many chug ducks though, not a lot of builds. Seti a solo. Cooper a solo.
match each other. Now placement points are starting to come in.
Placement points come in. Queasy goes down. Somerset goes down. Mr. Savage gets an elimination.
The players are now getting closer and closer.
Oh my god. Cooper gets an elimination. In zone. Pops a medkit. Seti is solo. No builds for Seti. Gonna try to jump in on Mr. Savage. Gets dropped down. That's Peterbot. Peterbot takes down Seti. Oh my god. Wait. Cooper's to win this game, I think. Cooper literally has to win this game. Peterbot goes down. Someone's got minigun. He has to clutch this. He gets that. Wait, he doesn't get that. He doesn't get the kill count for that. Oh my god, wait. Wait, it's a 1v2 situation. I don't know if it's enough points. I don't know if it's enough points. It's Podesai and Nikov versus Gone. 4 players, 3 teams. Podesai gets knocked in the storm.
Cooper, he might be looking to even try and send somebody back into the storm. He's got 5
It's a 2v1.
He's gonna go straight up. He's gonna throw that shockwave out, but
it's Podesai. It's Podesai and Nikov.
Because Cooper is sending himself off of the shockwave, but Cooper, he's just stuck between all of France here.
Podesai and Nikov win game 5. A second place for Cooper is not enough to secure the tournament win, as Nikov and Podesai end up winning game 6. Peterbot and Aussie Antics win the Pro-Am with 71 points, winning by 4 points over Cooper and Zemi, who had 67. With the Game 6 win, Nikov and Podesai end up getting 3rd on the tiebreaker win over Seti and Dea, who end up 4th. That was a summary of the Pro-Am tournament, but now onto the real questions. My thoughts on the Pro-Am and should they bring it back next year. I personally didn't go in person. I did a viewing party on my Twitch channel. From what I saw though, and from what people said, it was absolutely electric. The atmosphere seemed incredible, the vibes seemed great. During the intros and the games, the crowd seemed to be really electric and locked in on what was happening. Outside of some technical difficulties they had during game 4, everything seemed to run smooth and it was a well-run event. On the broadcast side, there was a lot of interviews and entertainment before the games to keep the viewers engaged. Casters, analysts, interviewers, A+ all around. It was a very well organized and thought out event. Now, should they do a Pro-Am next year? 1000% I think they should, although I think they need to change a few things. If they do one next year, I think in order to keep the hype, they should bring in different pros and creators. Keep a few from this year's event, maybe the winners plus 1 or 2 other super popular pros and creators, but 90% of the creators and pros should be ones that didn't participate in the Pro-Am this year. I think this would keep the hype up for it. I think Reload is fine for an event like this, but this is also Fortnite we're talking about. They love to experiment, so it wouldn't surprise me if they did a different point format or maybe even a different mode. Fortnite OG, for example. Should Fortnite do a Pro-Am every year? I honestly think if they want to keep the hype, I think it would be best if they did it every other year. It would keep the hype up more rather than it being every year, or they can do some sort of rotation. One year it's an event with both pros and creators. The next year is all creators, more or less like a Twitch Rivals event. And the year after that is more focused on pros, like an all-star showdown type of event. And then have those events rotate per year to keep everything fresh and to keep the hype up for it. It keeps the hype for this type of event, but is also refreshing and not the same game mode or format with the same handful of people every year. I think it would be cool as well if they maybe added some smaller creators into these events, but that's just me coping and trying to get into one of these events and playing it since I'm a smaller creator. I think it would be cool as well if they changed up the location, maybe not every year depending on how often they do this, but for example, if they were to do a Pro-Am every single year, maybe switch up the location every other year, go to different cities, maybe even different countries. It would allow for an opportunity for more people to go in person and witness the event. Although I do not know for a fact, I think the amount of attention, hype, and coverage the Pro-Am got surprised Fortnite, and it definitely brought it back to the drawing board on them running it back at some point in time. Share your thoughts on the Pro-Am in the comments below. Let me know what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, how often should they do the Pro-Am. If you enjoy Fortnite content, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss out on any future Fortnite related content. Make sure to like the video if you guys enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.